The time is now 6 o'clock. I call this board meeting of Godley Independent School District to order. We have a quorum present, and the meeting has been duly called, and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Texas Government Code 551. Mr. Flood, will you offer invocation and help us with our pledges?
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for the day that you have given us today and that you have allowed us to come here and meet. Father, we ask that you will provide the board members discernment and wisdom tonight, and that we will make every decision for our students in the best interest of them. We just ask that you will watch over us, guide us, and keep Satan far from us. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen. If you please rise for the pledges. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now our Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, indivisible. Thank you. You may have a seat.
Thank you. Thank you. We have tonight the honor of Mr. Carnes standing in for Dr. Deere, who is out of state this week. And so, Mr. Carnes, if you'll speak on behalf of the superintendent for the superintendent reports.
Yes, ma'am. All right. I think first up we've got our district improvement plan and House Bill 3 goals. Dr. Nix.
Good evening, board. Tonight we are bringing you the DIP, District Improvement Plan goals, and our House Bill 3 goals for the 26-27 school year. As we talked about at board retreat, we are going to try and frame as many presentations with you as we can with our know and show statements. We want students to know what they're expected to learn when they enter a class every day, and to be able to tell us how they're going to demonstrate that learning. So our know statement for tonight's presentation is that we're going to understand the purpose, priorities, and success measures of House Bill 3 goals and District Improvement Plan goals. And we're going to show that by establishing and clearly communicating focused House Bill 3 and District Improvement Plan goals so campuses and departments can align their work, monitor progress through data, and make decisions that accelerate student achievement. So first of all, why does this matter? House Bill 3 came as a part of the state's 60 by 30 goals, where they say that 60% of all students will meet standard in third grade reading and math. Additionally, the state says that 60% of all high school seniors will graduate with basically what boils down to a CCMR, College Career Readiness Indicator, on state accountability. So this is measured for early childhood literacy and math at the third grade level, and it is at the meets category, not at approaches. So it's not just the base standard, it's the next set inside of accountability for our STAR and EOC scores. The other indicator is the CCMR, the College Career Military Readiness Indicator, that is a part of high school accountability ratings. These goals must be aligned, and at least one district administrator has to be responsible for overseeing those goals and communicating them across the district. They have to be specific and quantifiable so that we can report back to you. These goals are set with a 5-year vision, but we come back and revisit them every year with you guys. So we'll come back again next summer, revisit, and set the next set of goals so that we're staying 5 years ahead of the curve. So first, these are our literacy goals. So ELAR at the third grade, We started with our current standard at 45% in 2026. We talked a lot as a team and decided that a 3% increase year over year was achievable. We didn't want to set goals that were too high and not reachable or realistic. So each year you will see 3% increases for 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. It doesn't quite get us to that 60% in 2030, but again, we want it to be achievable, and we can hopefully outpace some of these growth gains over the years and meet that 60% by 2030. These House Bill 3 goals do have to show individual indicators for each of our subpops, our subpopulations for different demographics, and for categories like economically disadvantaged, EB or EL students, those are English learner students, continuously enrolled are students that have been with us for 3 or more years, non-continuously enrolled are students that move in and out or are transient with less than 3 years within the district. You'll see some of these categories have stars on them. A category has to have a minimum of 25 students in it to be reported publicly, because the state says otherwise they might be identifying individual students within your student population. So if you see asterisks, those are because those groups are too small to report on. Here are our math goals. We started at 39% there, and you can see, again, a 3% increase year over year, with each of our demographics following similarly across ethnicities and in our special populations. Again, meeting 51% by the goal of 2030. CCMR is an indicator that we outpace the region and state in annually. We're currently at 85%. I'll bring you an update next month with some changes coming to CCMR, where the state's adjusting how students are able to earn those college, career, military readiness indicators. Again, that's going to change how we are able to serve students. And because of the high achievement level here at 85%, we adjusted our growth a little bit here in this category. When you're that high or far outpacing the state, it's harder to make a 3% growth. And so if we did that, we would be exceeding 100% by the 2030 goal, and that's really not realistic. So here you see a 1% increase, accounting for the fact that we're going to adjust to what the state's changing in CCMR and still push our students and teachers to serve students in meeting those indicators. Those kind of tie back to our district improvement plan goals. We will bring these back to you next month and in September for final approval with the full DIP, the full district improvement plan. These are based off of last year's goals. So these are 25-26. We had an increase in 3 points to move to a B in accountability in math and reading. Professional learning, we wanted to increase the percentage of participants on the survey, the climate survey for the district, and then we wanted to increase attendance. If students feel safe at school, then they come to school more often. So we aren't quite sure yet where we landed on the academic goal. Those ratings have still yet to be released, but we did meet both of the other goals. We met our participation goal for professional learning and effective staff, and we met our attendance goal under safety, student ready, and safety and well-being. So we're super proud of our principals and our campuses for doing that work. This is from Dr. Block. She started with 55% of participation at beginning of year, middle of year was 63%, and by end of year was 64%. So that was almost double what we had projected as our goal of 35%. And our attendance rate is at 0.88% year over the year previous. So our principals have done a lot of meaningful work in letting kids know that it's important to be at school, why it's important to be here, and in supporting those efforts. So we're incredibly proud of our principals for the work that they've done around attendance. Rolling that into next year's goals for 26-27, we wanted to stay with similar goals. We wanted an academic goal, we wanted a professional learning and effective staff goal to support our teachers, and we wanted a goal centered around safety and well-being. So our academic goal for next year is going to be increase 3 points for all students and all subjects. It's easily measurable. You can get really complicated and complex if you dig into individual layers, but we thought if it's a 3% increase across all grades and all subjects, then that shows that we're doing our work in all areas. Professional learning, we wanted to be specific about professional development delivered to teachers. We want to equip our staff with the skill sets necessary to serve our students well. So one of the questions is specific to professional development for teachers. We want to see a 5% increase from beginning of year to end of year in how we serve teachers through mini conference, through design day, professional development, through all of those teaching and training opportunities that we provide to our staff. And then we still want to work on attendance, because if students aren't at school, then we can't teach them and support their learning efforts. But because we had such a huge increase with attendance last year, and we want to be realistic, we don't know that another 0.5% increase is achievable, so we've set our increase at a 0.25% increase over last year for our attendance goals at the district. So these goals will go to our district advisory council. That meeting will happen in August. We'll bring these back to you in August for review, along with our campus goals. Then in September, you will be able to approve them after our district advisory council and our campus advisory councils have been able to provide feedback and help provide guidance on these as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if you want to digest the data and bring those back next month, we'd be happy to answer those then as well.
I just have 2 quick questions. 3% of the 3rd grade group is roughly how many students?
Oh, you're gonna ask me to math in front of people.
So you don't have to answer right now. I don't know the population, but that and like the 1% of the graduates, what would be the number of students we're kind of hoping to?
We
move
have
into
between
that?
250 and 270 kids per grade level right now. So 10% of that's around 30 kids, I would say, if that's good math. And for high school, there were around 200 graduates last year. So, another less than 5 kids to get to the CCMR indicator. But that's really fine-tuning. Our counselors do an amazing job. They've developed some really strong trackers where they're monitoring kids throughout the year. We've added a 3rd counselor at the high school, which I think is really going to help those efforts. We've started conversations at the middle school, so there's a lot of things kind of coming into play. But there's some changes to CCMR that are going to make it difficult that we'll go through next month for sure.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say 7.
7.
Oh, that was good.
Thanks.
And Dr.
Takes a
Block,
team.
good job on the increasing the participation. That's a lot on that one. So that's all I have.
I have a quick question. I know that the state likes to change our goals for us. Is there anything out there that we're aware of that they might be adjusting?
Next year starts a couple of things. The first thing is the through-the-year testing. So instead of having 1 STAR EOC test in April, there'll actually be a beginning, middle, and end-of-year assessment that the state offers, or there's a couple of options that districts can choose to pay for. I think most districts are going to choose to go with the state's option because it's free and because it's exactly what kids will be working towards in the final end-of-year assessment. So that's a big change for kids, that they'll be testing officially 3 times every year. And then the CCMR changes are a huge shift. 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know if you remember, Terry, Ms. Heiner, I brought you guys a presentation with the adjustments to CCMR. At that point, they were making changes for students that had already graduated where we couldn't put any interventions in for kids. Thankfully, the state listened. The changes that they're implementing this time actually start with this year's freshmen. So we're able to do some things now to adjust for and prepare them before graduation. But it's a lot more restrictive in what can count for students in the way that schools are held accountable. And I've said this before, but if schools start doing too good in one area, then the state adjusts how they measure success for us. So I do believe that's part of what's driving this change with CCMR, and we'll talk about all the changes in August.
With the change in beginning, middle, and end of year STAR testing, will we continue to use some of our other assessment tools like MAP testing, or are we going to try to kind of phase that out so we're not over testing our students?
Right now, our plan is to stop using MAP after this school year and use the state's through-the-year testing. We will be doing CBA's common-based assessments quarterly so that we can more regularly monitor progress and have a more accurate leading indicator instead of a lagging indicator. The state is telling us right now that the through-the-year testing results will be returned within 3 or 4 days, that it won't take the weeks and months that it does with STAR and EOC currently. So we'll see how that really plays out. But I'm hopeful that it gives us a good leading indicator so that we can make informed choices in the middle of it instead of it being what STAR currently is, which is a lagging indicator. It's done. Our kids have moved on. It's over the summer. We don't even have those kids with the same teachers anymore. There's a whole slew of things that stop us from intervening with kids individually with lagging indicators.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Nix.
All right, Mr. Hunt.
Mr. Hunt's going to be presenting on the SHAC committee report for the 25-26 school year.
Tonight, I'll be presenting the School Health Advisory Council's annual report for the 25-26 school year as required by the Texas Education Code. Over the past year, the SHAC met 4 times to review district health and wellness initiatives and provide recommendations to support the physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being of Godley ISD students. This year's work included reviewing and recommending updates to the district wellness plan, reviewing health education and student wellness programs across all grade levels, reviewing mental health initiatives and community partnerships that support our students and families, reviewing human sexuality education materials in accordance with state law, receiving updates on the child nutrition program and upcoming federal nutrition requirements. The committee also recommended the implementation of the Serenity House Impact Youth Prevention Program at all elementary campuses and discussed ways to improve parent communication and student participation in health-related programs while remaining fully compliant with state and federal law. Overall, the SHAC continues to play an important advisory role by helping ensure our district promotes healthy, safe, and supportive learning environments for all our students. Thank you, Board. That's the end of my report, and if you have any questions for me.
Hi, thanks
Hello.
for all your hard work.
Yes, ma'am.
Many years, 3 years ago now, we did have an issue with one of our SHAC committee members that kind of fell through a hole with a background check. I just want to ask if all of our members have gone through a background check on the SHAC committee and that it was a more stringent background check than what we had 3 years ago.
Yes, everybody's been background checked, and we've had multiple eyes double checked to make sure everything was good.
Thank you.
I guess there's no other questions.
good
Thank you, Mr. Hunt.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think you're up next with
I
the...
am.
Go ahead.
So with the handbook, so what I've got here in front of me is I sent you all a chart from TASB that showed the major changes of what they recommend we review. Because if we reviewed all the all the grammar and all the things, we'd be here a long time. So they just label it out in a chart. So I will go over that chart with you, see if you have questions. And then if you have any questions over the campus handbooks, the campus principals are here to answer those. So the first change I'll go over is under the section child abuse, neglect, school staff, misconduct, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. TASB changed child sexual abuse to child abuse since the requirements are all encompassing. And that is on page 37 of the handbook that you were sent. Under the same section, on page 39, they added a subsection for school staff misconduct and the warning signs. So what it looks like if there is school staff misconduct and those possible warning signs, and those are on page 39 as well, under that same category. Under the compulsory attendance category, ages 6 to 18, they removed the requirement for students in kindergarten through grades 2 to attend assigned accelerated reading instruction program. So that changed from K to 2, and only now 3 and up for STAR are required to attend the reading, the accelerated reading instruction. They completely removed that, and that change is on page 28. Under college and university admissions and financial aid on page 42, they added to the criteria list for automatic admission to four-year public universities and colleges that beginning in the fall of 2028, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board will set the required scores on designated college entrance exams. And on page 42, I believe it says SAT and ACT, those minimum requirements. Under parental rights and options on page 85, they linked a TEA model for parental rights notification. We have that. I verified that with Dr. Nix today. We have that in our enrollment packet that parents go through. We will get that linked onto our homepage, our website, because that does have to be in a prominent place. So we'll get that done, and that's on page 85, and you can see where it references there. On pages 87 through 88, under private spaces, they added a subsection on designation of multiple occupancy private spaces for use only by individuals of one sex. So that was all in those changes, I believe, from House Bill 3 this year. And so they reworded that, but that's on page 87 and 88, and you can read that there. And finally, the last change that they made that they recommend that we cover is unauthorized persons. So that is an added allowance for a referee, judge, or other official of an extracurricular athletic activity or school-sponsored or UIL-sponsored activity to eject a spectator without giving the person a verbal warning and without requiring persistent inappropriate behavior. So at any athletic event, at a band contest, if they're a referee or a judge, they do not have to give the person who's disrupting a warning. They can eject them without a warning. So that changes on page 104. And so this being a non-legislative year, the changes were small. Next year we'll have legislation, and it's usually a lot more massive. So it'll be a much bigger presentation next year. Any questions about any of the changes?
Any questions? Nope, I think we're good.
Campus?
Okay. Principals, do y'all have anything to present? No?
Well, I think I had asked if any of the elementary handbooks had changed, and the answer was no. Is that true? Great, thank you.
I just wanted to thank each one of you for having that ready for us to be able to look at over a month ago, so we could really kind of take the time to go through them and ask questions. I think that kind of helped this evening speed up a little bit too. And the changes that were made, the little tiny things, we really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we're going to move on to public participation. At this time, we extend the opportunity for the public participation portion of the meeting in compliance with Section 551.007 of the Texas Government Code. We do have a few people here to speak. Public participation provides the general public the opportunity to address the board regarding topics listed on the agenda. Persons attending the meeting and wishing to participate in the public forum must complete a sign-up form and submit the form to the board secretary or designate 10 minutes prior to the meeting being convened. Each individual addressing the board will have 3 minutes to make their presentation. Personal attacks on district employees by name or position or students are not allowed. All participants are expected to speak with respect and civility and maintain a calm, professional demeanor. Upon expiration of the 3 minutes, I'll call the next person that signed up to speak. Please note the Open Meetings Act does not require the board to respond to any comments or complaints from a member of the public regarding an agenda item. We will now begin the public forum. And I'm going to start with Greg, and then Kayla, and then Ms. Miller. So if you'll step forward, Mr. Cooper. And we have our timer, Marty. Very good. Mr. Cooper is going to be speaking on the district improvement plan, the SHAC, I believe for 6A is the district improvement plan, 4B is the shack committee, and 6A, which is our consent agenda. You're free to start, Mr. Cooper.
Test. Ms. Smith, Mr. Houston, congratulations. Some of this will apply to some of you more than others. As you consider the district improvement plan, I hope you'll remember something. A district doesn't improve by pretending yesterday never happened. District improves by learning from its mistakes. It improves when leaders have the courage to admit when something should have been handled differently. It improves when transparency replaces silence. It improves when accountability replaces excuses. And as you consider the shack, I hope this board remembers that parents expect more than good intentions. They expect sound judgment and they expect discernment. But most importantly, and listen very, very carefully, they expect this board to learn from its past mistakes and to not repeat them. Which brings me to my request. If this board truly believes in improvement, accountability, and transparency, please, please prove it. Place this item on a future agenda. Discussion and consideration to untable former trustee Kayla Lane's legal costs to the lawsuit that was dismissed with prejudice and she is now owed money for. Trustee Kayla Lane asked difficult questions. She stood alone when it mattered. Ashley and Mike Ketcherside sued Kayla Lane. It was dismissed with prejudice. Do any of you honestly think that how the ISD handled Ashley Ketcherside did not embolden that couple to file the lawsuit against Trustee Kayla Lane? The slobber fest of hugs and the affirmation that this board gave the Ketchersides emboldened them to target Kayla Lane. And that is a very public truth at this time, or allegedly. With all that has come to light, the least this board can do is have an honest public discussion about whether she should be made whole. Seriously ask yourselves a question, and this is a very fair question. Raise your hand if you think you would truly fight harder than Kayla Lane for student safety and accountability. Seriously. If one of your children was being abused and a school was covering it up, would you go to the trustee to your left or right, or would you want her to fight for your children? I would go to Kayla Lane. And you darn well know most people would too. Don't take these future decisions lightly. Don't embolden these people. You have an opportunity to make her whole. Do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Next, Kayla. Kayla's going to speak on 6A, which is our consent agenda items, our library materials, and let's see, our TASB policy update. Go ahead, Kayla.
Okay. As I've asked for many times, I request again for you to post your board books with your agendas for the public. The City of Godley does this, as does many other school districts. Not only does this provide transparency to your taxpayers, but also as a district that frequently shuts down public commenters for going off agenda topic, how are citizens supposed to properly address the board when they have no idea what you are going to be discussing because you do not post your board books? 6A2, the financial report. At the May 18th meeting during the construction audit, it was mentioned that the district paid $3.7 million in invoices that contained no proper backup, and the auditors felt they may have been overbilled. I have not heard any updates, and I am requesting what the results of the district investigation was and what are the plans to rectify this. Item 6A4, the library materials. At the June meeting, we expressed concerns regarding the book, The Freedom Seeker by Ruchira Gupta. The district mentioned they removed several books off of the June list, but they did not specify which ones. And my inquiry is, was The Freedom Seeker one of the ones removed? For this month's list, Fuzzy Mud by Louis Sakar, Several of the reviews stated that the mature content of serious biological threats may be too mature for 5th grade audiences, so perhaps this book would be best slotted for middle school instead of 5th grade. And then lastly, item 6B, the TASB update 127. Again, because you do not post your board books for the public, we do not know what these changes are, but as a former board member, I frequently found concerning left-leaning policy changes in these TASB updates. You as a board get a vote on whether or not to approve these updates, and you have 100% control over your local policies. And as I have said before, I would encourage you to look into alternative organizations such as TEE, as TASB has proven to push anti-parent and left-wing policies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. Ms. Miller? Ms. Miller will be speaking on the same topics, but the district improvement plan, the SHAC committee, and the student handbooks.
Good evening. Thank you, Krista, for asking about the background checks for the SHAC committee, because that was one of my concerns. So I appreciate you bringing that forward, because obviously there's been an issue in the past. I would also ask that the parents are given full access to the human sexuality lessons that are coming through the SHAC, because I think that is only fair and proper and appropriate, because we have found many hidden agendas in the human sexuality training and teachings. And additionally, I would just say, to back up what Kayla said, we have not heard any outcomes of that missing $3.7 million. So we are not going to forget. We are going to keep bringing it forward until we do know where that money went. And maybe the new CFO will be able to find it. Because as tax-paying citizens, we have every right to know where that missing money is at. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I assure you we've heard your comments. Next, we'll move into consider our consent agenda. We have the meeting of our regular meeting, minutes from our regular meeting, the district financial report, and district investment and cash report.
I would like to make a motion to remove and table the minutes of the regular meeting and special meeting. We have some corrections that need to be made, and the special meeting minutes were added in the middle of the day today, and I know multiple of us have not had a chance to look over those minutes. I'd also like to remove and table the check register from the district financial report. Our website is not up to date. The check register is several months behind from being posted, and I would like that available to our constituents so that if they have questions, they can reach out to us or ask in public participation.
So the one remaining item is the district investment cash report.
Say that again.
So the only item remaining
cash
in the
report.
consent agenda is the investment cash report.
Yeah, that's my motion, yes.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
I have a motion by Krista and a second by Marissa, and that is to approve the consent agenda items with only the district investment and cash report. We're pulling the meeting minutes and the check register since those have not been posted from online. So any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Nope. Motion passes. Next, we'll consider the purchase of library materials. Dr. Nix? No?
No. Wait.
Was that wasn't consent agenda? The other items on the consent agenda that were just approved were the library materials, the student code of conduct, school health advisory, SHAC committee members, the approval of the Hill College MOU, good cause exception for Godley ISD and the JCSSA, and the MOU with Godley ISD and JJAEP.
Can I make just a request on one of those
Sure.
items? Mr. Hunt, I don't see where you went. Is he still in here? Okay.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that because of the confusion of the page turn and the breakup of our consent agenda, that we add 6A through a 4 through 9 as a second item to be voted on as a second consent agenda, since we just took out the minutes and the check register from the thing that we just voted on. I think there was some confusion there.
I agree.
Okay, so
So I need a second.
I second it.
I have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Sorry, I caught you when you left. I just had just a quick question about the SHAC committee, or I guess a request. One of the things is that there is a parent that a chair or co-chairs that committee. Could we make sure that that's included somewhere in a meeting minutes that is going forward, so that we very clearly
Oh, yes,
know?
yeah, we usually do that the first meeting.
Okay,
It's
I
a
just want
parent
to
that
make sure.
co-chairs. Yes.
Okay, with the new approval that we'd have one. Okay,
Yes, we did.
that's all.
Sorry, I took a phone call, so I was
That's
stepped up.
okay, it
Yep.
could have been worse.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
Good.
Thank you. Next, we'll consider our second review of the consideration of the TASB policy number update 127. Mr. Carnes, you want to update us on that?
Yes, ma'am. So we brought this for first review last month. Being a non-legislative year, there are only 10 local policies, and I have those on the slides there for the explanatory notes. Just real quick, since there's only 10, there weren't a lot of significant language changes, but there were at superintendent non-renewal. Yep, there. That's, is it back, is there one before that one, Marty? At BJCF. No, okay. So BJCF, there were two additional pieces added there at superintendent non-renewal for engaging or assigning activities prohibited by law, and then engaging or assigning diversity, equity, inclusion duties prohibited by law. Then at CAA, it was just their simple cross-reference update there as they update where things are within the policy manual. Or designee was removed at DC, which is every time they, because that is redundant, because designee is specifically stated at policy BJA. Policy DP, the DP series was restructured. DP had personnel qualifications for principals and counselors. Those are still here, but they are now split out. So DP was deleted. DPA now has our principal qualifications, and there was one addition to those qualifications, which was the ability to interpretate data. And we know that our principals have to do that quite frequently. And then DPB local is where school counselors were moved to. EHAD was around hunter education, and that is no longer a policy requirement, and it is recommended for deletion. And then EHBB local recommended changes are from amendments related to the Texas Administrative Code. At selection, if the selection process relies on a matrix or threshold system, the use of a scoring value based on race, ethnicity, sex, socioeconomic status, or disability shall be prohibited. That was an addition to that policy. And then lastly, FFF, local at student welfare and student safety. Following Senate Bill 571, the definition of misconduct was updated to include alleged abuse or commission of an otherwise unlawful act with a student, involvement or soliciting a romantic relationship with a student, engaging in inappropriate communications with a student, and failing to maintain appropriate boundaries. And so those are the 10 policies, and we recommend that those policies be adopted as presented. Any questions?
Mr. Carnes, with the removal of the hunter safety or hunter, it's basically handgun safety is what that is, right?
On which policy? I'm sorry, on the, were you talking about the hunter education?
Yes, hunter education. That's something that has been mandatory and we have provided in the past?
We used to provide that in the past, Mr. Flood. I don't believe we provide that at the high school any longer. So we haven't, I couldn't tell you. I think we might have still done it back 7, 8 years ago when I was principal, but I don't know that we've done it.
Okay, so it's just been hanging out in the policy.
Yes, ma'am.
And not done. Is that something that we would consider providing if there was someone that wanted to come in and provide that at no charge to the district? Because I do think it's important. We are in a rural area, and I think it's important for kids to know that may not have that education available to them at home.
Yes, ma'am. I can look into it. I don't know if there are any new restrictions or anything on it, but it is certainly something that we could consider and then look into what we would need. Since it's no longer a policy requirement, what we would need in place to provide that.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the TASB District Policy Update Number 127 as presented.
I'll second.
A motion by Krista and a second by Jake. Is there any other discussion or questions? All those in favor? The motion passes unanimously. Next, we'll go into closed session at, what time is it? 6:42. We will be discussing personnel and safety and security, and those are by sections 551.074 and 551.076. Is now 8:12, and we will reconvene the session and consider the items discussed in closed session. We will consider hiring Godley High School Assistant Principal.
I make a motion to approve the hiring of the Godley High School Assistant Principal as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Jake, a second by Jamie to hire the Assistant High School Principal. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next, we'll consider hiring Godley ISD's Chief Financial Officer.
I make a motion to approve the hiring of Godley ISD's Chief Financial Officer as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Jake, a second by Krista to hire Godley's new Chief Financial Officer for Godley ISD. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Krista. We are adjourned. Great to have you here tonight, Mr. Adam.